Hello, folks. Sean Mize here for a faith-based training call today. Obviously, we're doing this very, very differently as a video, and I anticipate there will be some participation today rather than just an audio. So definitely doing things very differently. I believe the Lord placed it on my heart a few days ago to take today's faith-based call as an opportunity to speak directly to you. And so that's why I've chosen to use the meeting mode here, because if you'd like to, I'd love to be able to turn on your video and talk with you for a few minutes, eye to eye, face to face. How many of you would like to do that with me today? Hello, Robert, Charles. How many of you would like to do that with me today? Just be able to kind of talk face to face. And there's no pressure. I'm not seeing anybody raise their hand. Okay. So, and when I say raise a hand, I just mean right there in the chat. Just hitting the chat. Folks, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, excellent, Melissa. All right, wonderful. Let's go ahead and get started. Again, for those of you who followed me for a long time, you know that I kind of like the audio form of the teaching a little bit better because there isn't any distraction. However, in order to have interaction, we must have distraction, and sometimes we just have to step out of what's comfortable. So that's what we're doing today. I want to open with a word of prayer. Father, I come before you, and I thank you for this opportunity. I want to say to share, but I think that this is more than share. I think you for this opportunity to dig deep with some specific folks and break some things today, for folks to have some breakthroughs. God, I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't even want to necessarily ask you to do that, because I believe you're orchestrating something special. And so, Father, I ask that as you're orchestrating this, God, that I will play in your orchestra for the next 50 minutes the way you want me to, that you will touch folks the way that you want to, that I just want to believe that you've brought us together in this way and in this fashion for something special. We pray in Christ's name, thankfully. Amen. So I want to turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, and I want to read verses 4 through 11. So 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 4 through 11. And I'll read it to you, and I want to share some thoughts. Now, there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of operation, but is the same God which worketh all in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another divers kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. But all these worketh that one and the selfsame Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. Now obviously, Paul is writing to the Christians there at 1 Corinthians, or at Corinthians. So Paul is writing to the church at Corinth, to Christians in that environment. And if we were to look kind of behind the scenes here, the question is, why is Paul sharing in this way? Why is Paul sharing in this way? Is it possible that he was dealing with an issue? Is it possible that some people were feeling like they were more blessed or they were more spiritual because they could touch someone and someone got healed? Or did somebody else feel more spiritual because they could speak in tongues? Or did someone else feel more spiritual because they could prophesy? Okay. Is it possible that there was a hierarchical kind of thing that was happening among the Christians there in Corinth that were saying that there was this idea that I'm better than you, that I have more of the Spirit than you do, that I have more of Jesus than you do. So I think that Paul is setting things right, and we don't know exactly what was going on, but I believe that Paul is setting things right. He's saying, wait a second, there are different gifts, but it's the same Spirit. So the Spirit that enables you to speak in prophecy is the same Spirit that someone else is able to give a word of knowledge, someone else a word of wisdom, someone else can touch someone and they're healed, but it's the same Spirit. Not only is it the same Spirit, but verse 11 says, but all these worketh that one and the selfsame Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will. Now, if we were to say that in modern English, we would see giving to every person as he wishes. So that means that if you have the gift of prophecy and someone else has the gift of wisdom, you're not the big poobah. Because it says that the Spirit gave you the ability to prophesy, and the Spirit gave the other person the word of wisdom as he wills. Which means that if we get upset because someone else has a gift that we don't have, it's the Spirit's fault. The Spirit made that decision as he will, and who are we to question? Who are we to question? So not only does the thought come up, who are we to question what gift he's given to you or to the other person, but who are we to question? Who are we to question our gift? How many of you have ever thought that you have a gift, but be transparent here. How many of you have ever thought you have a gift, but it's like not as good as somebody else's? Like you've been intimidated because your gift isn't good enough. You felt like you can't do as much because you're not as gifted. Anybody felt like that in the past? Here's the thing. Whatever you have, Jesus Christ has given you by the Spirit. Whatever you're able to do, you're able to do is the rivers of living water flowing through you. But what if each one of us has a different administration or a different diversity or a different manifestation of that river of living water? Maybe it looks different in Melissa as it does in Christy, as it does in Marion, as it does in North. But how many of you would agree that we have a responsibility to operate in whatever manifestation that He's given us? How many of us have a responsibility to simply operate in the manifestation that we have? I mean, I want to submit something else to you. The word tells us that he who is faithful in little will be given more. But he who is not faithful in little, and I'm paraphrasing here, the little will be taken away. So if you're given a little gift and you don't use it, you may not be able to use it, right? Now, the word also tells us that these gifts are given without repentance, that they can't be taken away. But let me ask you this. If you were given a gift when you were 5 years old of being able to do karate, but you never exercised your gift, when you're 47 years old, gift or no gift, are you going to be able to do karate? Probably not. Why? Because you were given the gift, but you never exercised it. Because you never exercised it, you don't know how to punch, you don't know how to kick, you don't know how to flip people over, you don't know how to break bricks. Not because you weren't given the gift. You were given the gift, but you didn't exercise it. And so the gift is not taken away from you, but because you haven't used it, you can't use it. You see, it is our responsibility when we're given a gift to use that gift. Okay, now, I'm gonna start with me, okay? I'm gonna be transparent with me. I don't use everything that he's given. It's embarrassing to say that. I don't use everything that's been given. It's exceedingly embarrassing to say that. Because there's things that he gave me 30 years ago that for a number of different reasons, intimidation, peer pressure, a lack of motivation, that I'm not operating in all of those gifts. Because of that, I'm held back. Because he created me with a certain ability to exercise certain gifts, and if I don't operate in them, other people are losing out. Now, I say that first because I want to be transparent. I want you to have the freedom to admit to yourself that you're not operating in all of the gifts that you've been given. Many times, I believe that we pray to God to give us something, but he doesn't give us the next thing because we haven't walked in what he gave us first. Think about that. How many of you are praying for God to do something in your life, but you're not operating in what he's already given you? Now, I'm not going to go into something that says causation. I'm not going to go there. Probably could. We could probably find passages that would back up that principle if that's what we were teaching on today. I'm not going to do that. Okay? Now, what I am going to do next is what I believe I'm supposed to do here today. I don't know for whom. I don't know how. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what gift is going to manifest itself. But I believe that there are people here, you're hearing the sound of my voice live, who need to be given an encouragement or a motivation to walk in the gift that you've been given. How many of you believe that if you immediately began walking in your main gift, whatever it is, that if you literally walked in it every single day, your life would look different 6 months from now? How many of you believe that? And so often when I teach a generic message. It's out of the word, but it's a generic message that I believe that the Lord has given me, but that I'm teaching a generic message that is designed to touch whoever will grasp it. I want to do things different today. And I believe I've been called to do this, but I don't know exactly what it's supposed to look like. We're going to allow that to happen. If you'd like to share with me a minute or two, okay, we can't do 30 minutes, okay? But if you'd like to share with me a minute or two about what your gifting is to help other people and what's stopping you and holding you back, I'd like to speak into that. If you'd like to do that, let me know here. All right, we'll start with Suzanne. Do you want to be on video or just audio? Or texting, chatting, your choice. Anybody else? So Suzanne, video. Let me see if I can open you up, okay? Remember, I believe this is the first time. Hello, Suzanne.
Hey, Sean.
It's good to have you here. I appreciate you being willing to go first. That's exciting. A lot of people aren't willing to go first. They've got to wait for somebody else to be that guinea pig. Tell me what your gifting is and what's holding you back. What's stopping you from operating in that gift?
I have two giftings. One is writing.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to do with writing words is kind of my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other is mentoring homeschool moms or moms who want to homeschool.
Okay.
Nothing's really holding me back in terms of writing, except that I hate writing. I shouldn't say I hate writing, but I don't love writing for other people. Because as a creative, I like to acknowledge, I like people to know that I'm the one who wrote whatever it is. So I've done a lot of ghostwriting,
mm-hmm.
and I'm really good at it,
mm-hmm.
and I made decent money at it, but I don't get the recognition that I wrote all of that good stuff. Sorry, that sounds braggy.
Well, here's the thing. I think that obviously there's a place for eradicating pride in our lives, okay? But at the same time, I do believe that when God created us, he gave us the ability and the desire to have satisfaction in the work that we do. You see, we were made in his image. So we read in the word that God gets angry, right? He's gotten angry in the past. Well, we get angry. He's made us in his image. The word says that God has great love. Well, we have great love. Sometimes we stifle it, but we have great love because he's made us in his image. We have emotions. We have a whole gamut of emotions. I don't know that there's any emotion that we have that God didn't create for us. I mean, I think that even, we could even, and I might be, I might be stepping over a line here, but, I think even something like vengeance, I think God, when he created us, he gave us the capacity to have vengeance. Now it's our responsibility to use it wisely or to submit it to him or to give it to him. But he created everything that we are and everything that we have that is inside of us. And when he created the first 6 days of creation, everything he created, he then said, and God said it was good. When he did his work, he then said, it's good. Well, if we've been made in his image, shouldn't we be able to look at the good work that we do and say, it's good work. This is good work. And I don't believe that we need to have a sinful pride to be able to say that this is good work. If none of us wanted to do good work, what would this world be? Everything would just be halfway. And so I think that it's okay for you to want to have a little bit of recognition for being the person that's writing it. The thing is, God created you to change people's lives. And in order for you to be able to change the most number of lives, I believe you've got to go from ghostwriting to writing what comes from you. You see, if you can imagine that, we'll just look at me as an example. All right. I've written a lot in the last 12 years, probably over 1 million words in the last 12 years, but none of it's been ghostwritten for anybody else. And what that means is that when something that I write or that I produce changes somebody's life, they don't go to whoever I wrote it for more. They're able to come to me. Mm-hmm. Imagine what would happen if for the next 6 months, you were to write creatively in your name, you were to put things on your blog, you were to put them on your website, you were to start packaging some things up, maybe even as low ticket ebooks and things. You were to take an idea, you write 20 pages about it, it's brilliant, you put it up for sale for 10 or 20 bucks. Imagine what would happen if those items started selling. People are now paying you. You see, you can't operate without an income. Even Jesus didn't operate without an income. Even Jesus paid taxes, right? Even Jesus paid taxes. Even Jesus had to make sure that that everybody around him, his entourage, was able to eat. We make such a big deal about the miracle with the loaves and the fishes. We make such a big deal. The Bible tells us that the reason that he had to do the miracle is because they were several days' journey from any food. Okay, what I think the assumption is, if they were near a hot dog stand, he wouldn't have had to do a miracle. He would have just said, "Okay, everybody, it's time to go take a break. All right, I'm going to take a few minutes break. You guys go to the hot dog stand and eat." And he wouldn't have had to do a miracle. The reason that he did a miracle was because they were several days' journey from the hot dog stand. So even Jesus had to have commerce in order to do everything that they did. And it's the same thing for you. You see, in order for you to touch thousands, some percentage, maybe 3 to 5%, but some percentage of people have to pay for what you produce. And the only way they'll pay for it is if you put it out there with a price tag on it. And the thing is, you can put it on your blog and package it together. So I want to give you an example. When I wrote, I believe I wrote 11 or 12, maybe 13 ebooks my first year and a half online. Okay, they were all between 50 and 70 or 80 pages. But every page of every one of those ebooks is an article on eZine Articles. And some people might say, well, if I do that, won't people read it on eZine Articles and then not want to buy it? Or will they buy it and feel cheated because they didn't read it? Here's the thing. With 25,000 articles, what are the odds that someone's going to read the 75 articles in the right order to get everything that they could get out of the book itself? It's slim. It's almost nothing. You can do the same thing. You can start writing, putting a price tag on your books, on your ebooks, and putting the content on your website or on somebody else's website. What would happen if for 6 months you were not necessarily to stop ghostwriting because you're doing it, you generate some revenue, but what would happen if you started putting a greater and greater percentage of your time into doing what I've just kind of laid out? I don't even want to call it a suggestion, but what I've just laid out. What could possibly happen?
I'd make more money, but I would also have that satisfaction that people are buying my stuff, which is very important. That's why the graphics have been so good for me, because I'm creating something from scratch that people love. But the writing would be even better because it's something that I'm truly gifted at, and it's something that my family has been encouraging me to do for, I don't know, maybe over a decade or so.
Yeah.
But I'd also be really making an impact, because I have things to say, and probably things that nobody else could say.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You probably have insights about homeschooling that either nobody else has or they're not sharing. And if they're not sharing it, we could even say that maybe they have the insights, but if they're not sharing it, nobody's hearing about it. If you were to put those insights out, even if it were in a free place, where at the end of every article you said, hey, do you want more insights? Give me your name and email address. They get on your list for homeschooling. You're writing an article for the website, but you're sending it out to the list, or you're doing it on YouTube or somewhere. So you're putting it on YouTube. Maybe instead of writing, some days you just speak. You just, for 5 minutes, you speak, and you speak your article, and you put it on YouTube, and you send it out to now you have this list, and you put it on your blog, and maybe you have a network of 5 forums online where you would post your videos as well, so they get more traction and they get more people seeing them. And then imagine if you now even just have a list of 100 people and you ask them, what are you struggling with homeschooling? And then imagine if you were to write a 50-page ebook and put it up for $10. Would a percentage of those people that are on the list buy that? Probably. They'd probably buy that. So not only would you be generating revenue, but you'd be changing lives.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the trap that I've fallen into is I'm a member of so many groups on Facebook and, even in Anyone Can Coach, that I feel like it's easier to reach people with something business related than to try to go after the homeschool market. And I think maybe there's a curse of knowledge. I think I know less. I think, okay, well, what if somebody comes and, they have a special needs kid and they want help? I don't know anything about that. So I think there are lots of insecurities there as well with that, with writing for that, and then also with reaching, with thinking that I'll reach business people more easily because I'm already kind of around business people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I want to address the issue, let's just say special needs kids. So what if if you ever got a request for some help with a special needs kid, could you find someone through all your contacts in homeschooling and Facebook that could help that person? Could you make a personal introduction to somebody that could help them? And if they're coming to you, they probably don't know who that person is. So if you're able to connect them, then you've actually done your duty. If you can connect, I mean, think about this. I kind of go back to where you're at. I don't want to brag and I don't want to be proud or anything, but I think that something very interesting that's happened with Anyone Can Coach the last few months is not what I ever thought would happen. And it's that people are getting introduced to people that they never would have been introduced to before. Okay? And I'm not even having to make those introductions, but it's powerful. Imagine if you were able to make those introductions, that would be really powerful. And here's another thing, if we look at it from a business perspective, if you start making introductions to other people, you can't expect it to happen on a one-to-one basis, but people will make introductions to you. It's just the way it works. Okay, because you stay front of mind, then when they need help with something, or they need to recommend somebody, they'll send them your way. So let's just talk about the business, and then I'm going to talk to somebody else. This looks a little different than I thought it would today, but I hope this is obviously helpful to you. Maybe there is a place for you to be helping people with business. So maybe this isn't a decision that has to be made now, business or homeschool. Maybe it's you make a commitment to one homeschool article a day, but then do what you feel like, which maybe is helping the business community. 6 months from now, if you're doing all of these things, 6 months from now, it'll be very clear where you should put your energy. There's a verse, I want to find it for you. It's in Ecclesiastes that I think is a very, very interesting passage. Okay. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 6. In the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thine hand. For thou knowest not whether shall prosper either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good. So when I read that, I hear that Solomon, in writing Ecclesiastes, he didn't say you have two ideas, pick one. He said, in the morning, sow your seed, work the field. And in the evening, don't withhold your hand from whatever else you have a gift for, because you don't know which one will prosper. Now, down the road, 6 months from now, when one of them prospers, it might become a no-brainer. I want to give you one more thought, and then I want to move on, and that is that one of the real problems in the online business world today, this is huge, is that probably 90% of the people that are teaching online business know nothing about online business except whatever they're teaching.
Mhm.
They've never run a real business. They've learned some stuff in a book. They've gone out there and they're teaching, but it's not real. It's not, they don't know it. The
Mhm.
fact of the matter is, if you were to build even with your experience already with homeschooling and with the graphics and with your own ghostwriting, now I've got a whole lot of clients that want more ghostwriting work, but they don't know where to find it. So you have experience with graphics, you have real world experience with homeschooling, and you have real world experience actually getting ghostwriting assignments. You have more real world online business experience than 90% of the so-called experts online teaching internet marketing. And as you grow that experience, then you're going to be able to speak to people more real. You're going to be able to tell people what doesn't work.
Mhm.
How many times have you heard me tell people something doesn't work? I do it a lot. Hey, that doesn't work. People may say it works, but it doesn't work. How do I know? Because
You've done it.
it doesn't work. You know, there's a lot of things that don't work. There's a lot of things people are teaching these days and getting paid good money for that doesn't work.
Mhm.
You know what those things are, and I know what those things are. So, Suzanne, I hope this has been a blessing to you. I hope that when you dig into this, when you think about it, you're going to have some clarity.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
This was, I can't even express it.
Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for being first.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now what I want to do is, let's do this. Let's turn your video off.
Okay. Yep.
Let's do that. And I don't know how to do that on my end. I don't know. Maybe I can do it. There we go. I think that worked. So what I want to do, I'm going to take the next person next. Okay. And we're going to take Melissa next.
I think that's me, Sean. Hello, Sean. Hello, everyone.
Yes. Hello, Melissa. So give me just a second. I'm glad you're here. So give me just a second. I want to relate what Suzanne and I just talked about to you. You see, we've got 25 minutes left. I'm probably not going to be able to spend the 20 minutes or so that Suzanne and I spent together with everybody that's raised your hand. We're going to move faster. There's a first mover advantage. However, I believe that I could have had almost the same conversation with any of you about your topic as I just did with Suzanne. And my guess is that many of you had a realization as I was talking with Suzanne. And if you didn't, when this becomes a recording, I encourage you, go back and listen to it. Watch it. Watch what we discussed. Because I believe there's nuggets of truth in there that is applicable for everybody. You see, I believe that for all of you, if whatever it is that you're good at, if you will dig in and do it. I'm going to step on some toes right now, and I'm going to make some people mad, and I'm even going to have some people tell me that they don't do this, because I know this happens. Okay? So we know that some people don't do this. But the fact of the matter is, most people, maybe not you, but most people are spending time online doing things that are not productive. I don't know what that is for you. I know I do things that are not productive sometimes. I get stuck in a loop. I got a little voice in the back of my head that's saying, Sean, it's time to wrap that up. You've worked on that long enough. You haven't finished your project for the day. And I just keep ignoring it for an hour, hour and a half. And sure, it looks like I got good work done, but I didn't do what was important today. And I believe that for all of you, if you were to take an hour a day, just an hour of your workday, and prioritize teaching, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on your blog or whether it's on an article directory or whether it's on a forum or wherever, if you would prioritize teaching, whether it's print or audio or video, something amazing would happen in 6 months. What would happen in 6 months if you spent an hour a day creating free content online that sent people to your squeeze page? I'd love to get a chat response to that. So Melissa, you're live. Go ahead.
Yes, Sean. Thanks for taking me on. Well, at first I think I misunderstood the question because I was thinking of gifts on the spiritual sense. And then it's a very good question because I know what I'm good at in terms of I love helping people. And when I help others, I often get good feedback, how I was encouraging and inspiring. And even before I started my business, I often helped a lot of persons on their thesis in terms of editing, and I would do all that for free, the academic assignments. But since I've started my business, one thing I find that I enjoy a lot is the video training. And when I deliver the training, it's like I have to tell myself stop, or I just go on for hours. I think that I need to perhaps try to reflect and identify what my particular gift might be in relation to my business. But thus far, I enjoy what I do. I enjoy all the things that I'm doing and what I'm learning. But in particular, when I'm doing the Facebook Lives or the different video training, I really enjoy delivering the message and teaching, and doing my best to touch people's lives. And I have to literally tell myself, stop, okay, that's 45 minutes or 40 minutes, or else I would just keep going on for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So here's the thought that comes to mind. And by the way, Melissa, you were absolutely right. I mean, the context of this was, my thought was, it was designed to be spiritual as it pertains to helping other people. But the fact of the matter is, think about this, there is a merging of your business with your spiritual. You see, up until a few years ago, 20 years ago maybe, most people had to get a job for the sake of having a job. Okay? So, most people probably weren't born with some supernatural gift to be a plumber. But there's a need for plumbers in the world. And some people, of course, are handy with their hands. And they want to get married and have children and buy a house. And so they have to choose a trade. So I'm going to be a plumber. I'm going to be an electrician. I'm going to be a blacksmith. I'm going to make rocket ships. I'm going to make shoes. We are now in, or for some period of time, we've been in what we would call a knowledge economy, where you can now teach and get paid for it. Which means that for people who are willing to teach in their gifting, you can get paid for it. Used to, you'd have a job, and then anything that you taught that was in your gifting would be for free. It would be Sunday school, or you teach in the community, or you teach for the YMCA, but you teach for free or for peanuts. But now you can do both. And in fact, we are entering, whether it's next year, or it was 5 years ago, we are entering the coaching economy. We are entering a coaching economy, and we are leaving the knowledge economy. People don't need more knowledge. They need implementation. So we are entering a new phase of the world. I really believe this. That whether it happened 2 years ago, or whether it's a transition that started 10 years ago and it'll be complete in 10 more, but we are entering a place where there's not just a knowledge economy, but there's a coaching economy.
Yes.
What this allows you to do is to operate in your gifts and help people. Okay, so I don't know that there's anything wrong with saying, well, I'm just going to teach for an hour and a half. As long as you're teaching from the heart, and when people are listening and studying, they're gaining value, I don't know that there needs to be an upper limit. What I do believe needs to start happening, Melissa, is that you start monetizing what you're teaching. Okay? And I don't mean stop teaching on the free platforms, but start monetizing. Okay? Two things have to happen for you to start monetizing. One, you've got to get more aggressive about getting people on your list. And two, you've got to get people to start paying for your training. Okay?
Yes.
So imagine what would happen if you were to package up all the videos you've done for the last 6 months, package them all up, Or package them into 3 packages. Maybe there's 3 big topics. And let's just say you put a price tag of $10 on it.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people bought. Would you be better off than you are right now?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So my recommendation would be to do that. You've done all this recording, pull that stuff together, package it up, and start selling the trainings that you've already done as a package. Put 3 or 4 together, put 3 or 4 together, put 3 or 4 together. That's the first step. I think that the next step for you is to start doing some kind of live coaching. I really do. I believe your next step is some kind of live coaching. And, you know, it may be even that you start out with just $10 a month. Imagine if you had 10 starter clients at just $10 a month that would come to a weekly paid call. Would that give you the confidence to raise the price to 20 or 30 or 40? You know, you could raise the price $10 a month every month for a year into your $100 a month. And anybody that got in at the earlier price is grandfathered in. But what would happen if a year from now you had 100 clients, 10 were paying $10, 10 were paying 20, 10 were paying 30. So the average, I think, would be 100 people paying an average of $50 a month. What would change in your life if you did that?
A lot will change, because this is what I would love to see. I teach from my heart. I enjoy what I do, but definitely I need to start monetizing it because it's been 6 months. And I need to actually touch people's lives. So the life coaching is something that needs to happen so that I can see I'm really making an impact in their lives. The video teaching is good, but the life coaching helps you to get closer to your client, closer to their needs, and contribute to their growth and development. So that's a great idea. I will definitely consider that.
So I want to give you one more idea, then I'm going to move on, okay? What would happen if you were to post, let me ask you this, would you be willing for just 10 clients to do a 1-hour coaching session for $19? Would you be willing to do that?
Of course I would. Yes,
Okay.
I would.
What would happen if you were to create, and for $19, you don't need a long sales page. You could literally just have a 1-page page that tells what your offer is. These are the things we can work on. You know, my regular rate is $97, or you don't even put a regular rate in there. Okay. Normally life coaching is $97 an hour. However, for the first 10 clients who respond, I'm going to give you 1 full hour for $19. And I'm even going to double your money back if you're not blown away. You're going to teach. Nobody's going to ask for your money back. Nobody is going to ask for their money back. If one person does, boy, you'd just be really blessed. They're off your list forever, right?
Yes,
I mean, but seriously, $19, double your money back. Folks have nothing to lose. You show up, coach your heart out for an hour. If you just posted this on Facebook and a couple other places, you'd probably have your 10 clients in 2 or 3 days.
I'm going to be working on that. I really appreciate that, Sean.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, I definitely appreciate that.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to take Don next. Don, before I turn you on, I want to share, once again, I want to relate what I just talked with Melissa about to everybody else, including you, Don. How many of you could do what I just gave Melissa? How many of you could do what I just gave Melissa? You could package up what you've created for the last 6 months into 3 packages of $10 a piece, and you could offer a $19 hourly coaching session to the first 10 people. And I'll give you one more thing. The next 10 people, it's $29. By the end of the year, you could be charging $100 an hour. How many of you'd like to make $100 an hour by the end of the year operating in your gifting? Okay, Don, you ready to go? How many of you could do that? Hey, I'm going to say something that will offend somebody. I don't know who. Offend somebody. If you don't do it, you won't get where you want to go this year. You know, I don't want to say this, but I feel compelled to. You see, you can come to my calls every week. You can come to a faith-based call. You can get jazzed up, motivated. You can feel good at the end of the time. You can come to my coaching call. You can come to an inner circle call. You can come to an extreme accountability call. The bottom line is it's on you. If you do it, you can build a full-time business operating in your gift. I believe that. You couldn't 100 years ago, maybe, right? Because you had to pay the bills somehow. As a plumber or an electrician or a seamstress or a shoemaker or a house builder, but not anymore. People can make a full-time living operating in their gift 100% online. You see, here's the thing. Used to, you'd be local. Used to, everything you had to do was local, which means you probably couldn't make a full-time living out of life coaching locally. But now your audience is 7 billion strong. You can life coach in almost every country in the world. There's a couple of countries that kind of discourage you from doing business there. But other than that, you can do life coaching in any country in the world. Don, you're live. Tell me what's going on.
Hey, Sean. Same old thing for me. I think I have an interest. I have an idea a minute, but getting focused on one and sticking with it, that's another story.
Do you cheat on your wife, Don?
Nope.
No. Why not?
Well, because I hear where you're going. As a matter of fact, before I was just thinking that's a good correlation. You got to choose something and stick with it. There's a zillion girls out there, but if you want to be married, you have to pick one.
Yeah. I don't know any other way that I can make this any more clear. And I don't know that there's anybody else I'd use that example with. All right. Because I don't know who cheats on their wife. I know you don't. Okay, so I knew I couldn't get in trouble here. I probably offended some people, but whatever. Here's the thing. In many things in life, we just have to make a decision and do it. Right?
Yep.
We just have to make a decision. I have clients, various clients, that they tell me that the reason they can't do things is because they get distracted. You're distracted by social media. They get distracted. I get distracted too, but it is my responsibility to find a way to do what I got to do. It's my responsibility. When Jesus told the parable of giving out the talents, what was it? 10 talents to one person and 5 to another, and 1 or 2 to the other person.
Right.
The person with 10 talents that had to invest them, don't you think he got distracted? He could have gone out and spent them and hid. He could have invested in 80 different things, but he chose one. He could have been distracted. Every CEO in the world is distracted. They get headhunting calls almost every day. They could probably get a new job every week.
Right.
They do it? No, it's a decision. And, it's not about motivating. I can't motivate you to do this. Somewhere you got to make a decision. And it may be just like with your wife. You've just made a decision, whether you're happy with her today or not. You don't cheat on her. Why? Because you made a decision, and it's an unbreakable decision.
Right.
And it's exactly the same thing in my business. And in fact, honestly, Don, I've had to tighten things up in my business the last few years because I don't want to brag or anything, but I've been doing this long enough, and I've been studying long enough, and I've been experienced in enough things. I could probably teach knowledgeably on, 100 different things, maybe 200 different things.
Right.
But if that's what I did, I wouldn't have a business anymore. But I have to deal with and teach on what you, my paying client, is interested in. I can't decide that today I'm going to talk for an hour about my dog. Now, will I spend an hour with her later today? Yes. Will I treat her like she's a person? Yes. will I, you know, will I have an intimate bonding time with her? Yes. Will she get to chase some snowballs? Yes. Could I teach a little bit about dog psychology? Probably. Can I make a dime off of it? Probably. But I'd sacrifice everything else that I had. Because I guarantee you, when this call ends in 8 minutes, when I go do my coaching call, I've built it up today. I've built it up. Built it up. I'm going to reveal some innovations today. But if I get to the call and I'm like, you know, I just really got distracted. I mean, this dog just keeps scratching at me. And you know what? Let's just go for a walk in the woods together. Then the next time I say, folks, show up because I got something special for you today, nobody's going to show up. So, Don, I really believe that my word to you today is you just got to buck up and make a decision. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. I've tried motivating you. You know, you've tried motivating yourself. You've tried making lists. You got to make a decision. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if you got to take out a sheet of paper and make an irrevocable decision on that piece of paper and mount it to the wall. I don't know what that is, but you got to make the kind of decision you've made in your family. Because you run your family well. You have black and whites in your family. You have black and white rules for your children. But you're not operating that way in your own business. And they see that. And if you were to begin operating in your business the way that you parent your children, you could double your business this year. I believe that, Don. You have an amazing amount of ability and gifting that's inside of you. And, you know, it's easy for us, everybody listening might think that you don't do very much. I want to tell you this, folks. You know, Don makes a full-time, better than a full-time living online, 100% online. Okay, so for anybody that may be saying, oh, Sean's beating Don up because Don's not doing anything, Don is doing 100 times more than some people that come and watch my calls every week. Okay, so I want to be really clear there. All right, but Don wants to go to the next level. And right now, Don's being held back by not being able to focus on what it takes to go to the next level. How's that sound, Don? I know this is in great love. I share that with you. It may not sound like it, but it is. I appreciate you, Don, and I want to see you get to the next level. I really do. But I think that's what it's going to take.
Yeah, right on, Sean. I appreciate and love you too, my brother. That's it. Pick and go. You know, I think the thing that I see is I'm well aware of how much effort it takes, how much work it takes to build a business. And I don't, it's like, again, back to getting married. I don't want to marry the wrong one. So you're right. It's time though. We've been 3-4 years down the road now. I've not moved from where I am right now. As far as I've been doing plenty of work for others, but not much for myself. So it's pray about it and decide and do it. It really is time. It's just gone. It's time. I appreciate you, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Don. You're welcome. Okay, so here we have 5 minutes left, and I really want to get done 1 minute early so I can take a break before my next call. If you desperately want to speak with me for literally 1 minute, let me know now, okay? While you're letting me know, I want to speak to a few of you that are here, that you've kind of let me know what's going on. Pam, here's what I want to say to you. You just you got to get a website started where people can come to. You need a central hub for you where people can come to and get trained every day or every week, okay? How do you feel about doing videos, Pam? Okay, okay, excellent. Okay, Bruce, do you want to share for a moment? Okay, I think Bruce hit his video on accident. That's okay. All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to go ahead and wrap up. This didn't go the way I thought it would go. I don't know if I was listening or not. I got into a rhythm, and I hope it helped. But here's the thing. Obviously, I hope this helped for those of you I talked with. So Suzanne and Melissa and Don. I hope this helped. But what I almost hope as much as is that for all the rest of you that are watching and that will watch this as a recording, that you can imagine that what I gave Suzanne and Melissa and Don, that if you'll do the same thing, you can build a full-time business this year. I believe that. If I had to start all over again from scratch, that's what I would do. But Carol, this is exactly what I needed. So I hope that there were many others that feel the way that you do. Obviously, this wasn't as spiritual in nature as I expected, intended, but I trust that this is what the Lord wanted. Let's wrap up. Father, I come before you, and I thank you for this opportunity to operate in my gift. What you gave me, I get to operate in here. And my reward is to see lives changed. Father, I thank you for this. Now, Father, I ask that for every single person here that wants to operate in their gift, God, I ask that you will give them a sense today of just stepping out and starting to do it. We pray in Christ's name, thankfully. Amen. I want to highlight somebody. Melissa. You see, Melissa, about 6 months ago, she blindly took what I suggested she do and start doing a Facebook Live. Now, why Facebook Live? Well, because she already knew how to use Facebook, right? I mean, how often do I recommend Facebook Live? How often do I recommend Facebook? I don't. Very rare. But Melissa, that was her next step, Facebook Live. And she's done it. And she's done some amazing things. I probably haven't given her as much encouragement and details as I could have over the last 6 months. She's done some amazing things. Because of her follow-through, I was going to use a different word, but it wouldn't have been quite right. Because of her follow-through, her blind follow-through, she's now in a position where I can say to her, just package up everything you've done and put it for sale. That's what I did. I packaged up my articles on eZine Articles and sold them. Almost everything I've ever produced has been sold multiple times, multiple places, and still not everybody has it, right? I could sell everything all over again and more people would get value out of it. You can do the same thing. But for some of you that have not been creating product, not been creating content because you don't know what to do with it, if you'd have done what Melissa did 6 months ago, then now I could look you in the eyes and tell you to start selling. All right, I'm out of time here. For those of you who are going to be on the next call, how many of you want me to just give you the link right here? I'll put it in the chat box in just a moment. So those of you, you don't have to go back to your inbox. You'll be able to get it. But if you miss it, you'll be able to get it there. So I'm going to close this time up. Folks, if you're watching this as a video on YouTube, I hope that this has been a blessing to you. You know, I hope that you'll share it with somebody. If it could be a blessing to somebody else, I hope you'll share it with somebody else. Okay? If it's not a blessing, well, you know, I don't know how you got to the 60-minute mark. But if it's been a blessing, make this happen inside of you. I'm looking at you right now. If you've made it through 60 minutes, you are capable of doing what I gave Suzanne, Melissa, and Don. And in fact, if you add up what I gave Suzanne, Melissa, and Don today, that's pretty much my business model. Let's make this thing happen.